Have you ever had a fear of something that was so strong, powerful, and overwhelming it controlled you? A fear you thought you would never be able to overcome? Well, as Franklin D. Roosevelt, the longest serving US president, said, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. My name is Elakshi, and I'm going to talk about my ongoing journey in altering perspectives about fanged reptiles and share with you the realizations, surprising facts, inner reflections, emotions, and scientific knowledge I have gained along the way while converting my fear to fascination. First, I invite you to think about any fear you may have, whether it's something as tangible as an animal or a fear of heights, or something less concrete, like a fear of failure, judgment, or the unknown. My parents tell me that my first ever encounter with these extraordinary creatures was at the age of 2. I was in the garden, crawling around, my curiosity heightened as I played with all the leaves and flowers around me. Little did I know, I was sharing that microhabitat, my backyard, with one of the most venomous snakes in India, the Russell's viper, mere feet away. It was only when the gardener spotted it and let out a ear-splitting shriek that my mom frantically picked me up and out of harm's way that I realized my well-camouflaged fang friend was to be feared. But how did this childlike innocence and innate curiosity become a daunting fear? Fear, as I now realize, is a learnt behavior. Yes, there is instinct, but irrational fear is forged by society and the experiences and exposure one receives. Just like society's views on snakes, our fears often come from things we have been told or shown. And like me, you may have developed a learned fear of something that is simply misunderstood. This was not a one-time occasion, and I would later see countless such reactions towards snakes. Social media, YouTube, Wikipedia, and the internet reinforcing this unnecessary fear. This happens with so many other fears as well, whether it's a fear of public speaking, trying something new, or even failing. Media, social norms, and past experiences often color how we perceive things and build fear around them. Society and superstitions, in fact, perpetuate stereotypes with regards to snakes. The portrayal of snakes in media heavily impacts people's perceptions of them. Myths like that of sea serpents, Medusa, and the serpent in Adam and Eve, catchy news headlines titled Vicious King Cobra Bit Zookeeper, and representations of snakes as villains in movies and books like Kaa in Mowgli and Nagini and the Basilisk in Harry Potter further contribute to fear. Others' opinions on snakes had already taken a hold of me, and when I saw a 6-foot rat snake in my backyard a couple of years later, I screamed like any other person would. However, fear is not the only problem. It is the actions taken upon it. I would later witness many negative interactions with snakes and encounter seeds of bloodshed through mutilation, violent acts of abuse out of fear, and even carelessness in the form of roadkills. This isn't just about snakes. This happens with many things. Fear, when left unchecked, can lead to rash decisions and even harmful actions. I'm fortunate that my parents are wildlife conservationists and have given me immense exposure to all animals, big and small. I have seen firsthand the importance and interdependence of the interconnectedness in biodiversity. How the web of life is complex and intertwined. However, there was one animal I still couldn't believe I'd like. It still haunted my nightmares: snakes. This changed when my parents took me to Coorg, a place situated in the Western Ghats. Known for its vast expanse of biodiversity, it's home to all sorts of snakes, from rat snakes to pit vipers, cobras, cat snakes, vine snakes, blind snakes, and even cheeltails, my favorite. I was only about 5 years old when I handled my first snake. It was an earthworm-like blind snake, no bigger than the size of my palm. Its cool body tickled me as it attempted to dig into my hand like it would burrow into soil. This experience, like any confrontation with fear, didn't happen overnight, but taking small steps toward understanding can turn any fear into something fascinating. Maybe it's not snakes, but perhaps a fear of speaking in public or traveling alone. Things that feel intimidating but become manageable when we engage in them slowly and safely. Then Jerry Martin, a snake specialist in Mysore, converted my understanding of snakes not only from a personal experience point of view, but from a point of view of science. I gained a sense of empathy when discovering their attachment to their home territories. I learned how the words rescue and relocation are in fact not synonymous at all. How an ideal snake rescue would be one in which you didn't move the snake, because snakes are equipped to live in their territories and spend years within that radius, mapping out surroundings and identifying places to hunt, eat, sleep, and hide. Jerry showed me an example of how a radio tagged king cobra, after having been relocated, went from moving in set patterns within a 5-mile radius to moving up to 15 miles a day in a frantic state, desperate to find familiar surroundings and stay safe. Taking them out of their known surroundings is like taking a 10-year-old boy who has grown up in a town and has become equipped to living there all his life and dumping him in Antarctica. Chances are he wouldn't survive long. Well, snakes are no different. They are highly sensitive animals, and 90% of the snakes that are relocated don't survive. It terrifies them, and they often end up clueless and defenseless. In fact, some snakes even benefit and thrive near human settlements, like cobras and rat snakes. And it is important to understand that this is of mutual benefit. All these animals are great at pest control, and they eat rats. A clear symbol that coexistence with these animals is in fact possible. But what about their venom? Isn't it dangerous? Well, for starters, not all snakes are venomous. Some are non venomous, like the rat snake in my backyard that once horrified me. Some are constrictors, like pythons and boas, and others are venomous, but only to their prey, not to us humans. I mean, that is the main purpose of their venom, not to come after you. Examples of snakes include cat snakes and vine snakes. Vine snakes carry a misconception of pecking up people's eyes with their sharp pointed snouts, a false accusation that has led to the prosecution of this mildly venomous snake. Much like similarities in appearance between rat snakes and common cobras have got them misleadingly labeled and killed. I also learned that the terms partially venomous and mildly venomous are incorrect and misleading because mildly venomous things simply do not exist. A species is either has venom or doesn't. And the correct terminology for snakes that have venom but don't harm humans does not mean they don't have venom, but it merely means that they are not medically significant species. And out of 3,400 identified snake species, only 20%, which is about 600, are venomous, and only 7%, about 60, are in fact medically significant species. That's quite a small number if you ask me. Definitely not one so terrifying that it should result in the persecution and immense fear we have for any and all snakes. Another important thing to note is that no snake, venomous or not, wants to bite a human. And depending on which species it is, some snakes instinctively slither away as far as possible from humans, some curl up and coil back, and most are typically not aggressive and could harm themselves significantly when lashing out at a human or waste their precious venom. Making venom is an energy and time consuming act for a snake. Wasting it by biting people means starving themselves due to lack of venom, and they have no venom to catch prey or fend off other animals, thus leaves them vulnerable. This is not to say you won't get bitten if you step on one in a field, but the solution is simple. Be cautious and aware of your surroundings. When I realized that snakes are living beings and they have the same basic requirements of food, protection, and territory, and they have a vital role in the web of life and deserve respect for it. Just like I learned that not all snakes are dangerous, many of the things we fear in life are often misunderstood or misrepresented. Once we dig deeper, we might find that what we fear is far less threatening than we initially thought. All these factors changed my fear into an ever growing fascination, and I hope it has also changed your perception about these extraordinary animals and provides you with the courage to leave one alone if one ever happens to cross your path. In conclusion, most fears are learned behaviors or fed by negative experiences. Being amongst nature has taught me valuable lessons: tolerance, peace, and respect for all things, and has encouraged curiosity over fear in the face of nature's unexpected surprises. Having a wider exposure to things at a young age can help combat fears you may develop over time. This is not to say pick up the animal or push yourself to an extent of utter trauma too soon. But taking small steps, like observing the animal from a distance or attempting to understand them better by interacting with experts or doing some research on them, can help convert wildlife related fears into tolerance, respect, and later on, hopefully, even fascination. So, whatever your snake may be, whether it's a new challenge, a change, or an unknown experience, remember that fear is just the first step. As Marie Curie once said, nothing in life is to be feared, it is only to be understood. Now is the time to understand more so that we may fear less. Thank you.